Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling tired? You don't want to get out of bed, just want to pull your head under the covers and stay there, maybe forever. That feeling of tiredness, that feeling of, yeah, feeling tired, is it coming from fatigue or is it coming from stress? These are two different things, and sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference. Both of them will make you feel cranky. Both of them will make you feel low. Both of them will be not a pleasant experience and sometimes have the exact same symptoms. But what you do to take care of these two things can be quite different. So it's important to pay a little of attention and examine what is causing this feeling. Maybe I just had, too much to eat last night, or I went to bed too late, or something else. So that's different than a deeper kind of stress, which can keep you awake or make you feel tired, even if you did sleep. The only way to tell the difference, interestingly enough, is to start trying to take care of it. And the first thing I like to do is try to give myself more rest. So if it's just fatigue, then rest will take care of it. Rest will begin to just work through the system, whatever fatigue has built up there. If there's some toxicity that has built up due to poor eating or drinking or something, then the body will begin to balance itself if you give it rest. If it doesn't respond after giving some balance, and it might take several days to do this, then there may be something deeper going on. It may not just be fatigue, as in I worked too hard, or I played too hard, or I was not giving myself enough time to sleep, or that kind of thing. So if the body doesn't respond to your balancing effects, balancing efforts, then it's time to start looking, okay, what else could be going on here? And you have to kind of research in your mind what's been bothering you, what's been on your mind recently. And the interesting thing is fatigue will bring stresses, like those deeper stresses, to the surface. This makes it actually even harder to tell the difference, because when you're tired, then everything bothers you. And of course, the things that bother you the most are going to be right there on the surface. And so if there are some deeper wounds or stresses that are coming up, then it's going to look like, oh my gosh, it's just all about deep-rooted stress. But it may just be fatigue mainly. Anyway, the first approach is to try balancing. The next approach is to look for what is actually going on, like in your mind. And for me, for example, I had this a few weeks ago where I was just feeling off, like not sleeping so well, waking up early and then still just lying there, and then waking up tired at the end of the night. My back was hurting, my energy was low, almost like a depressed kind of feeling. Sometimes I even just had that feeling like I wanted to cry. So fatigue can do this to me. If I get enough fatigue, I can really get cranky. And I was wondering, okay, is that it? So what I did was I first started trying to make sure I have plenty of time for bed, get to bed early, trying to get up early, but it wasn't going away. Like there's something more. So as I started looking at what's going on in my mind and what's going on in my life. And I found part of it was some deadline anxiety. And as a highly sensitive person, deadlines are not my favorite thing. I can get anxious about them easily. It's a common thing for HSPs. And so that was one area where I could start to look at, what am I doing here? And is it possible to extend some deadlines and give myself a little more ease around that? The second thing that I noticed is that my dad's health has been going down for the last month or so, and he may be getting towards the end of his life. And there's almost unconscious a kind of mourning happening already about losing my dad. And so that's a deeper stress there that is not just about fatigue. It's about something that is that's really core and something that I need to take a little closer look at. So that's the difference there between fatigue and stress, and they do get mixed up. So let's look at some practical strategies for addressing the fatigue area. Like there's just the practical fatigue. First of all, rest is the key, going to bed earlier and doing that consistently for many days. Like I find that one day going to bed early is not enough. 2 days going to bed early is maybe not even enough, but like many days. And even if possible, creating more of a routine where I'm doing that just as a lifestyle going forward, because that can avoid a lot of issues in the future. Maybe in the beginning, if I'm really feeling this extra fatigue, I may need to sleep in, and I do sometimes. But I also kind of limit that because it can be counterproductive. If I start sleeping in, then what happens is when I'm ready to go to bed a little earlier, I'm not so tired because I already slept in the night before. And it kind of shifts your rhythm, your circadian rhythm, so that you start sleeping in later and start staying up later. And as far as I know, the best rest comes in the early part of the night rather than the later part of the night, and is certainly deeper than daytime sleep. So if possible, I like to keep my routine of getting up early and then going to bed early. Another key that helps keep that balance is doing some exercise in the morning. I really like to do something, get outside. I walk my dog, sometimes run with my dog. I do some push-ups, sit-ups, those kinds of things. Sometimes I do a few other little exercises, just gets the blood moving and gets the body active at that time. It also has an effect that later on in the day, by the time evening comes, there's a little more fatigue in the body that will make you want to go to sleep. And so if it's just fatigue, having that exercise, strangely enough, can actually improve your sleep if you do it, especially if you do it early in the morning. Another thing, of course, to help with sleep is winding down, having some kind of routine in the evening, some gentle stretching or listening. I like to listen to audiobooks at that time with my eyes closed while I'm stretching. That's really nice. Or just not having any projects or emails or screens open before bed. Those are helpful. And then finally, if you're dealing with fatigue, vacation or a long weekend, or just taking a day off, like a do nothing day, maybe a sick day, and just reading or taking a nap, walking, daydreaming, not being social, just having a day or a few days where your body is the priority. Often this can really help to alleviate the fatigue that has built up in the body. So then, if it's more than just fatigue, what approaches can you do to deal with the more deeply rooted stress? Stress on that level comes from the mind getting caught on something. It often loops on something and it can't get off. It's kind of stuck. So you have to start with where the mind is. And that means it's stressed. And so you have to give it attention and allow that stress to come out, to be heard, and to be listened to. So you may want to just rant on paper, maybe journal, just writing your thoughts, stream of consciousness, and let the emotion come out. I'm so angry and this, or this is so frustrating, or I'm so sad. And you just write your stresses out onto paper. They're not going to hurt anybody, and it feels good to get them out. This has been shown in many, many studies to be therapeutic alone. Just writing your stressful thoughts, just journaling your stressful thoughts. Very helpful. It's like a way of getting it out. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, then this is where the work of Byron Katie can come in, and you can take some of the stressful thoughts that you wrote when you were journaling or when you were ranting on paper, and you can actually put them through this course of questioning and turning the thought around. And it's a chance to let that stuck part of you that just emoted on paper, let that stuck part begin to explore and look at what's really the truth of this story that it's believing. it's found itself into a hole. Like, allow it to climb out of the hole and don't push yourself, but allow yourself to explore and see if there's another way of seeing it. When you let your stuck part answer the questions when you're doing the work, it can be amazing because it begins to educate itself and it begins to lead you out of that feeling of stuckness. Another thing that can help with deeper rooted stress, I've been practicing transcendental meditation for many, many years since I was just a kid, and it has a powerful effect for getting really deep rest, like deeper than sleep, that allows these stresses to just work themselves out, even without any kind of like more of a conscious type of process like the work of Byron Katie. It's very powerful. And there are other meditation techniques as well, but a deeply restful form of meditation can do wonders for improving your ability allow you to release the stress that has gotten stuck in there. And then finally, you may want to work with a facilitator or a therapist to help you address deeper wounds or traumas that may have gotten activated by what started out as fatigue kind of situation and then brought up something bigger. So it's always great to have support with those kinds of things when you're working with another person, especially if they're experienced. They can support you as you're working through this part of you that is stressed, and it can be a very helpful way of going through it.